beautiful family you have. Congratulations to all the success and the love that y'all portray.
All right, my babies, good night. Give me a kiss.
So Quincy, you got a new song coming out?
Yes.
Kim Porter says she dumped Diddy.
I feel like
In a statement to the TV show The Insider, she says she decided to end what she calls her on-again, off-again relationship with Sean Diddy Combs.
but at the end of the day, I'm wilder, I'm crazier. A lot of us are wilder and crazier.
New audio has come to light, revealing what Kim Porter was going through just before her breakup with Diddy, and in the months that followed. If these sources are to be believed, it seems she was afraid Diddy would take her life. But why? Why would someone who claimed to love her want to kill her? Well, there are a lot of theories, and one of the most prevalent ones is that Kim Porter was actually writing a tell-all book exposing Diddy's empire of crime and depravity to the world. She was going to tell everyone just what he had done to men, women, and even children.
Kim Porter, do you know anything about her book? Because there's always been a rumor for a while now that, she got killed because she was exposing a lot of stuff in her book. Is there any truth to that?
Unless they can hide unless she did her book on Google Duo and it's in the clouds and they could get somebody to get it out of there, she ain't got no book. It's just a conspiracy. Kim, it was alleged that she did have a book and that her book was about to come out. And she was talking about all the perils, everything that she went through in the music business and with Diddy. All the men that they slept with together, because there were men that they slept with together. There were swinging times that they slept with together. I don't know, man. How do you put your girl through some shit like that? Or how you look at your girl and knowing that she and another dude? What kind of demonic mind you have to be that far gone where that don't bother you for somebody that you love? But Kim Book was going to express all that. And I hope she did her book on Google Docs or she did her book somewhere that is floating in the cloud of the internet that somebody could go get it one day. Because any picture you take, anything that you write or say, it's in that internet cloud. You just gotta go get it. And one day, somebody gonna go get it. But I'm sure that he probably got hold to those tablets or whatever she had, allegedly, and got rid of them. They swimming with the fishes.
Wow, man. So she was about to expose all that in her book, them sleeping with men together.
She was gonna expose everything. I heard it was tell all.
Now, obviously Diddy, who was a wildly successful businessman at this point, did not want any scandalous details about his life to come out. Kim Porter, on the other hand, it seems, was determined to speak truth to power and expose Diddy for the lunatic he was. There was only one problem, though. She could not keep her book secret, and she could not live to see the day it was published. Kim Porter reportedly died of pneumonia on November 15, 2018, at the age of 47, much to the shock of the celebrity world. How could someone who was in such good health die of pneumonia of all things? Better yet, why was it so sudden? And why did her book never come out after that? It was this amalgamation of factors and circumstances that led people to dig deeper into the matter. And when the metaphorical shovel first broke ground, it unearthed some truly horrifying revelations about what really happened to Kim Porter.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said it was ruled a homicide. They found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms. Then right after that, Al had a meeting, and our survivors and the late of Uptown Records, they were all writing tell-all books. Andre was writing a book right before he died. Heavy D was working on a book before he died. Kim Porter was working on a book before she died. Al B. Sure was working on the documentary of his life. And then he goes into a coma. Has Puffy ever been in a coma? Has anything happened to him? He must be the luckiest, because it seems like everybody that worked at Uptown Records from the very beginning.
Yes, many, many years ago, I posted some information that was, basically trying to save my life. And thank goodness to my ex, the wonderful Kim Porter, the late Kim Porter, who, kind of warned me all along the way to, just kind of watch your back, so on and so forth. And I didn't understand why.
Because of Diddy?
Basically.
Do you believe that she died of pneumonia?
Absolutely not.
Why? What evidence do you have?
She was in the best of health. We just saw each other prior to her passing. We were actually celebrating our son's new Netflix Christmas special, and she was doing just fine. In fact, we were all at the event together at Netflix in the lobby. Sean, myself, the children, all having a great time, and I'm, grabbing Sean like, what? And she's in the back going, stop, So it was a really festive opportunity just for all of us to be together, because it's nothing like the circus that's out here. So it was a lot of the stuff, came to surprise, but a lot of the stuff will be revealed.
That was Al B. Sure, Kim Porter's ex, who, ever since she passed, has been adamant that there was something fishy about her death. He does not believe she died of natural causes. After Sean begins to see Kimberly and I remain friends. He said in one documentary, she started to confide in me. What she did say is that something's not right. His soul has gone completely dark, like he's just not there. She made me promise on a certain Quincy Taylor Brown's life not to ever reveal, because she was in complete fear of my life. He Singer said he had just seen Porter, looking amazing, at a screening of their son Quincy's Christmas movie, The Holiday Calendar. It was 2 or 3 weeks prior to her murder, he says. Am I supposed to say allegedly? The Los Angeles Police Department said there was no foul play in Porter's death, but Al B. Sure questioned that, claiming she was allegedly keeping a diary. Kimberly said, don't get involved. You will get killed, he claims. Let's just say you gotta listen to Kimberly. Because not only was she trying to save me, but she was putting her own life in danger. Al B. Sure said that's why he wasn't around to raise Quincy, though he makes it clear that his son was never adopted by Combs. There's no adoption, he says, and if you haven't noticed, his last name is still Brown. He also shares that he stayed in secret contact with Porter during their on and off years together. That would certainly explain how he could be in the know about what happened to her, and it would also explain why Diddy allegedly also went after Al.
Just when we thought the mess for Diddy was over this week, well, it looks like Al B. Sure, from the 80s and 90s, is chiming in at a recent event, alluding that possibly Diddy had something to do with his recent health scare where he was in a coma for 2 months.
We are going to be producing the Al B. Sure life story. So hold on to your britches. You'll really understand how I ended up in a coma. You're really going to need to call Homeland Security.
The fact that Al B. Sure is saying this so publicly makes me believe that he does believe that Diddy has something to do with it, and probably feels safe enough now to say something. Albie, he's still on the loose, even though he was recently spotted in Miami with his twin daughters, and then he was hanging out with Stevie J.
Diddy has a history of bullying women into relationships with him and bullying men away from the women that he desires to possess. And I can speak about that very clearly, because that's exactly what he did with Kim Porter and Al B. Sure. We've heard what was said. They were married. Quincy was on the way. He wrote Forever My Lady in honor of Kim and Quincy.
They were happy. Diddy came into the studio and said, man, I wish I could get a beautiful girl like that. This is while he was still with Misa. And Justin was already born. And Diddy said, but you have a beautiful woman and a beautiful family. Apparently, Diddy wanted his. And we see how that turned out.
Did you get a chance to watch Albie Shore's Good Morning America? I think it was Good Morning America, where he did an interview.
I watched some of it. I couldn't watch. I'm trying my hardest not to watch anything other than what I'm focusing on. But I saw what I could. And I'm happy that he's getting a chance to speak. I'm happy.
Definitely.
And I'm happy that he's there so that he can give accurate accounts from Kim. Because the truth is, if Kim Porter was still alive, she would be the star witness right now. It's triggering.
It seems like, speaking of Cassie, it seems like Diddy does have a hold over her, that she can't really speak on it the way, like, I guess being in a room with him, because she hasn't been in a room with him for almost a decade now. And to be there, it seemed like it's hard for her to really say what happened. That effect, they call it Stockholm Syndrome. They call it a couple different things, to where she might feel like maybe this is how love is.
And you could explain away maybe the Jaguar Wrights and Gene Deals of the world as not really being in the know, even if they are industry insiders with some truly compelling information on occasion. But could you really doubt Kim Porter's own son if he felt that Diddy had something to do with his mother's death?
I even heard Quincy was a little skeptical about his mother. You know what I'm saying? And I would be too, man. I would be too. When you see the type of person you're dealing with, you hear the threats he put out there. I told y'all the threat he put with me. Then you look at the threat he gave Don. Like, people like, oh yeah, you know, nigga, when he threatened you, that's real. Nigga told you he could buy your whole block and shut every light off on that. You picture it. He got that money. Houses on your block gonna cost for $200,000. You get what I'm saying? So for a long time, I had PTSD before I knew what it was. I just figured out what it was maybe like 7, 8 years ago just by social media and just learning, you know, how we learn in this new age from sharing information, what PTSD was. You can ask anybody in Miami, man, everybody couldn't understand why I was riding around with a vest everywhere. I slept in one. So I can imagine what a female feel like getting a threat from him. What a female, when a man's tracking your phone, beating your exes, blowing up cars, you scared to go. If I kept you in a hole all day and you starve yourself, but I keep putting bread in that hole, you're gonna eventually, yeah, I gotta eat. Eventually you can't go nowhere, nigga. That's basically what he's saying to her. Bitch, I don't give what you do, you can't go nowhere. You can't escape me. And a lot of this wasn't because he loved her. A lot of this is because she was in too deep. If you leave, you gotta die. And it makes sense of why you would kill her, or why Kim would die at an early age. No disrespect to her kids, I'm just being honest.
Gene Deal even mentioned that at one point he had spoken with Al a few times and exchanged texts, and he completely understood why even Al would want bodyguards around him.
And I believe that Al knows that Puff has some powerful people, or has some powerful people around him, and some people doing some things for him that could danger his life. His life could be in danger. I don't think nobody would be paying for some security if they didn't think their life was in danger. So I could see Al doing that. I understand why Al is doing that.
And when it came to Kim's death, Gene pointed out that there were no electronic devices found around her. No phone, no laptop, even though most people kept their phones within arm's reach.
You gotta realize, man, Kim's death wasn't even investigated, bro. Her death wasn't even investigated. And it should have been a proper investigation so all the family members can feel like that there was no foul play in her death. How is it that you know how we are as a people? I don't believe that 10% of your viewers that's watching this don't keep their phone when they go to sleep in arm reach. How is it that there was no electronic products or gadgets around Kim's bed? Her laptop missing, her cell phone's missing. Everything is missing that she could get in touch with her little girls if they not at home or her friends or family. All that's missing. How is it that, and this is her say, that the detectives did not even view the body in the bed where she died at? That the coroner them had already removed her, pronounced her dead, and told the detectives them that it was no foul play. And if that is true, as I've heard it, and we read certain things on the internet about it, that case need to be reopened. We know that Kim, and it's in the this is in the documentation, shout out to paperwork, at the paperwork part. I gotta shout him out, man, because he looked in the paperwork and it said Kim received a massage for about an hour when she's supposed to have full-blown pneumonia. Who gives somebody a massage when they got pneumonia? And do we know whether she used that baby oil or not for that massage?
He even alleged that a casket had been ordered for her months before she passed. And if this is true, it just adds more credibility to the claim that Kim's death was premeditated.
How you order a gold casket 2 months before somebody died, man? If I'm gonna pay, or they gonna get the money up, what is it, to resume her body? If they gonna get the money up to dig her body back up, and have a real autopsy done on there, have a real investigation on there, who's it gonna hurt? I've been knowing Al for a long time. And this is in the 90s when he walked through Eddie F. house and it was about 100 degrees. Me and him, we talk about this all the time because he be laughing about it. He walked through Eddie F. He was going to Eddie F. house in a black leather suit and it was about 100 degrees outside. Al ain't no fool, bro. Al is not a fool, and he's smart by getting extra security. I don't blame him at all. If I wasn't retired, I'd probably be working for him.
Jean found the circumstances around Kim's death suspicious. Reports claimed she was found one day, then again the next, and was later said to have died from pneumonia. To him, that didn't add up. He argued that someone with her wealth could have called a doctor or even an ambulance if her condition was that serious. He also believed there were serious problems with how her death was handled, including whether an autopsy was ever properly done.
Then had somebody at the funeral home, had a bodyguard at the funeral home watching the dead body for 24 hours up until the funeral.
Wow, I ain't know that. That's my first time hearing about that. But for the people that's not familiar with Diddy and Kim Porter relationship, can you let the people know a little bit about their relationship?
Well, Kim was very spoiled. Kim, Misha, Sarah Chapman, and Tanisha. Not so more Misha, but it was Tanisha, Sarah Chapman, and Kim. They were all good friends. Puff and Misha was together first, over there uptown and everything like that. I'll Be Sure was Kim's husband. Whatever happened to Kim and I'll Be Sure, Puff came in when he got that big contract, started getting the money. He started dating Kim. Tupac was dating Sarah Chapman. You know what I'm saying? Tanisha, she was with this dude that used to hang with Puff and them named Dodd and whoever else. They was all cool with each other. Puff, outside the physical, treated Kim like a queen. She ain't have to work. She did little acting jobs, little commercials. Got everything she wanted. Lived on 70-something Park Avenue. Not Park Avenue, 70-something on the west side by Columbus Avenue. Nice apartment. Had a maid, had a babysitter. Treated her like a queen on the outside. On the inside, she was subjected to doing all the nasty, all the freaky things with other people that he wanted her to do. But I didn't see no complaints.
The way her death was handled, the way she died, and all the things she was allegedly working on before she died, they make for a truly damning picture for Diddy. This whole scenario just feels like a can of worms whose lid is going to come loose someday soon. And when that happens, it seems incredibly obvious that Diddy will once again find himself in court. For now, though, he has more pressing matters to contend with.
Combs is facing sentencing next month for his conviction on prosecution charges. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman has been following the case and has more from the outside of the courthouse in New York City.
Sean Combs is back in court for the first time since the day of his verdict. Now, Sean Combs ended up being convicted of 2 charges. Those were transportation for the purpose of charges. He was let off on the more severe charges of trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. But even with these lesser charges, Combs' attorneys have been arguing that those convictions should be thrown out or that there should be a new trial if the judge is not willing to do that. This is a hearing on the post-trial motions. The judge is listening to arguments from the parties on these issues. What Combs' attorneys say is that this is an unprecedented use of the Mann Act, the federal law that makes it illegal to transport people across state lines for the purpose of prostitution. They say that these were consenting adults having sex and that this Mann Act has never been used in this way for conviction. Now, if the judge won't throw out the convictions, they say that a new trial is necessary because of the severe spillover prejudice from reams of inflammatory evidence that was related to those other charges that Combs was ultimately not found guilty on. There is a very high bar for throwing out a jury verdict, so we will see what the judge ends up deciding today, and we will keep you updated. Back to you.
One of the witnesses who testified in the trial of Diddy earlier this year is now suing him, accusing the music mogul of verbal, physical, and typical Diddy abuse. The witness, Deontay Nash, worked for Diddy from 2008 to 2018 and testified for several days during the trial where Diddy was convicted on 2 counts of transportation for illegal purposes. He was acquitted of racketeering and trafficking charges. In a lawsuit filed in California, Nash claimed he was forced to work under exploitative conditions, often working long hours without extra pay. His lawyers said Nash had to style not only Diddy, but also people in his circle without compensation. The complaint included multiple incidents, including one where Nash said Diddy became violent after learning that Nash had gone to dinner with Cassie Ventura. On another occasion, Nash said he was chased on a freeway after being pushed out of Ventura's apartment.
Where were you right before the violence started?
Outside smoking a
Was anyone with you?
No.
What were you standing by?
A car?
Was it parked?
Yes.
What happened as you were outside smoking a by a car?
Puff came around and threw me on the car and started choking me out.
What did Mr. Combs say as he choked you on the car?
I thought I told y'all about going out, y'all wildin'.
Who did you understand Mr. Combs was referring to when he said y'all?
Cassie and I.
And at that point, what had Mr. Combs said to you in the past about whether you and Cassie could go out without his permission?
After the Rita thing, that's basically, he said that we couldn't.
That you couldn't what?
That we couldn't go out because every time I wanted to go out, she wanted to go out.
Now, Mr. Nash, stepping back, did you report any of the violence you've described today to the police? Did you file a report?
No.
To the police?
No.
Why not?
Out of fear.
What were you afraid of?
A retaliation from Puff.
What conversations, if any, do you remember having with Mr. Combs ahead of Cassie's 29th birthday?
Should he surprise her for her birthday?
Is that what he asked you?
Yes.
How did you respond?
I told him if you want to.
Now, why did you tell Mr. Combs to come if he wanted to, if you'd seen him do all of this violence to Cassie?
Girl, I was not about to tell him. He couldn't come give that girl a party.
What do you remember happening at the birthday party there?
As they were leaving, Puff was telling Cassie, you, I do all this. I'll do everything for you and you just can't do this one thing for me.
Did you end up speaking with Cassie at the Cavatina about Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Were you two alone?
It was a couple people around.
What do you remember Cassie saying to you at the Cavatina?
I asked her about Puff. I was like, girl, what is he over there doing? What is he talking about? And Cassie said, girl, he's just mad because I don't want to go to the hotel and freak off with him.
Nash also claimed that he stayed silent out of fear, believing speaking up could put him in danger. That seems very consistent with Diddy's pattern of violence. It does raise the question, though, will we see more people come out with lawsuits against him now? Let us know in the comments below.